Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your name for the benefit of the court reporter?
My name is Troy Roberts. Troy, T-R-O-Y, Roberts, R-O-B-E-R-T-S.
And Mr. Roberts, how are you currently employed?
I'm a current employee with Publix Supermarkets.
And what do you do for Publix?
I am a network engineer. Currently have been in the role of wireless for the past 4 to 5 years.
Now, as part of your employment with Publix, well, let me back that up for a second. Can you give us a snippet of your education and training and experience as it relates to network engineering at Publix?
I have my bachelor's degree from UCF in MIS. Like I said earlier, I've been with Publix for 11 years total, engineering for 6, and then specifically designed and focused on wireless for the past 4 to 5.
Now, as part of your employment with Publix, are you aware if Publix grocery stores provide Wi-Fi for their customers at their various locations?
Yes, we have a network Publix customer, which we provide free of charge to any of our customers.
And are you aware if the Publix at Corner Lakes Plaza, the address being 16825 East Colonial Drive, maintains a wireless network for its customers?
Yes, we do. We do provide the same network at all of our stores.
And can you give the jury a general overview of how the wireless networks at Publix operate?
So the network is open, so you can actually see it from your device, your mobile device or tablet, whatever it is. Once you associate, you get an IP address, and then from there we offload the traffic through a broadband circuit locally at the store.
Now, Mr. Roberts, is it common that the Wi-Fi range from the nodes and antennas located inside the store, is it common that those antennas can extend out into the parking lot?
Yes, we have different designs in our stores, so older, newer. It kind of varies at times, but we definitely do see that penetration go beyond the 4 walls into the parking lot, even back into neighboring neighborhoods at times.
And does Publix corporate keep a record of the devices that access their Wi-Fi network throughout the state?
Yes, we have several monitoring tools and logging servers that we do. Some are more detailed than others, but we definitely, it's an automated process that automatically logs that client as it connects based on their MAC address.
Okay, now you mentioned MAC address. Can you give the jury sort of the layman's version of what a MAC address is?
So in general, the MAC address is it's a hardware address. It's what we call a burned-in address. It's actually identified by the manufacturer on the chip that has the radio, basically, and that is unique to each device. So when you connect up, that MAC address is how we see it connect on the wireless side.
Okay, so that's like a unique identifier for every individual device, whether it's a laptop or a phone or anything else that connects to a wireless network. That's a unique identifier for that particular device?
Correct. It's unique. It gives us information on the manufacturer of the actual radio interface, as well as a unique ID for that particular adapter.
And you said it's burned in. Does that mean it can't be changed easily?
Yeah, it's physically, or we call it a physical address. So it's hard set to that wireless adapter on that device.
Now, you mentioned the records that Publix keeps with regard to devices that access their network. Are those records that Publix keeps in a normal course of their business?
Yes, some of them are shorter range. They give us more detailed information on the connection. Others are longer term storage. The longest is around about a year that we keep that information.
Okay, I'm showing defense counsel 14V as in Victor for identification purposes. May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing the witness for the record State's Exhibit 14V for identification purposes. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, this is a report that I provided. That's my signature and date.
And is this a fair and accurate paper printout of the electronic record that Publix keeps with regard to devices that access their network?
Yeah, it's basically just a log event that basically shows some information on that particular client.
I tender State's 14V into evidence as State's next.
Any objection? All right, what's been pre-marked for ID as State's Exhibit 14B will be moved into evidence as State's Exhibit is it 179? 178 in evidence.
Now, Mr. Roberts, in front of you is a computer monitor, and there should be a mouse in front of you as well.
Yes.
And if you take a look on the right-hand side of
Thank
that
you.
monitor, should be a kick-out menu. Yep, okay, good, the pin's already activated. So you can actually indicate what we're talking about using your monitor up there, and it will reflect on the overhead projector.
Give me-
Everything works like it's supposed to.
Do I need to click the play button?
Very good.
Okay, there it goes.
I
Thank
just
you.
enabled it.
Thank you. ma'am.
Thank you, Judge. All right. So this is what you just identified. This is State's Exhibit 178. Now, this is the whole thing. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because it's hard to see, all right?
That's
So we'll
perfectly
start
fine.
down at the bottom. All right, right about here.
Insert right arrow that we bring out, will show where you can change the highlight color, to change everything else, so that depends on how you choose to
Right
do
here?
it. On top of the screen.
Ah, thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
that.
I'm sorry, Judge.
No, I was just informing him on how that worked.
How to color.
May I proceed?
You may.
Thank you. Starting at the bottom, can you tell us the time and date stamp on the left-hand side of this document? Is that an Eastern Standard Time?
This particular one is an Eastern Standard Time.
And so that record that reflects January 25th, 025325, that would be 2:53 in the morning?
Correct.
And can you tell us when a device with a MAC address of, well, let me ask you this. Where's the MAC address on this sheet? Let's start
It's
with
actually
that.
this little section right here. So let me see if I can underline it.
Okay, so it's the numbers with the, I always forget if those are colons or semicolons.
Semicolons.
Thank you, sir. Separate each of those two numbers. So can you tell us, based on this record, the very first time that that particular MAC address logged on to Publix's Wi-Fi?
The first event we had for that particular MAC address ending in 13A0, A0, correct, is January 25th at 2:53 a.m.
And the name associated with that particular device, is that above on the next row up?
Yeah, so that's an identifier that identifies, it's based on manufacturer. It gives us a little bit of a snippet on what type of device it is, and that was identified by this, this firewall basically as a light surface.
Light surface, okay. And so this record, if we continue to go sort of up it to the very top, when was the last time that the light surface had any contact with the Publix Wi-Fi at this particular location?
The last time we saw any log events for it was on January 25th at 5:02 a.m.
Thank you very much. And with regard to this particular laptop, at 2:53 would be the first time that that laptop made any contact with the Wi-Fi network at Publix.
Correct, yeah, based on all the logging events prior to that, this was the first actual event that we saw for it.
I tender the witness. No questions, Judge.
All right. Members of the jury, any questions of this witness? No questions. May this witness be excused and released.
Subject to recall, Judge.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. You're excused and you're released.
First, let me wish you a good morning.
Morning.
Please tell us your name, and would you spell your first and last name?
My name is Jason Amato, and it's Jason, last name Amato.
And Mr. Amato, can you please tell us where do you live? And if you prefer to give city, town, county, that's fine.
I live in Winter Springs, Florida.
What do you do for an occupation, please?
I am a mortgage loan underwriter.
And where do you work? And once again, city, town, however you feel
Uh,
comfortable.
I work in Maitland for a company that does mortgage loans.
Now, Mr. Amato, did you know Margaret Amato, Chad Amato, and Cody Amato during their lifetime?
Yes.
And first, please tell us, who is Margaret Amato to you?
She is my mother.
And it may sound like a silly question, but sometimes the answer is no. Did you know Margaret your entire life?
Yes.
And can you speak up, please?
Yes.
Okay. And how about Chad Amato? Tell us your exact relation to him.
He is my father.
Now, is he your natural father?
No, he is not my biological father.
But did he adopt you?
Yes, he adopted me when I was 3 or 4, right around the time my parents got married, before Cody and Grant were born.
And once again, the same question, did you know Chad your entire life?
Since I was 3, but as long as I can remember, he's been my only father.
Cody Amato. Cody was your brother?
Yes, sir.
And the same question, did you know Cody your entire life?
Yes.
Now, Grant Amato, do you know a person by the name of Grant Amato?
Yes, he's also my brother.
And same question, did you know Grant Amato your entire life?
Yes, sir.
Do you see Grant Amato in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
He's stand up to look around.
Well, no, I know where he is. He's right there.
Could you identify him? Is he
Yeah,
the
he's
person
in the
that's
purple.
standing up?
Yes, sir, in the purple tie.
Okay, please let the record reflect that that Jason Amato has identified the defendant Grant Amato in this case. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, and I apologize, I may have just asked this question 2 seconds ago, but I want to make sure that I did. You've known Grant your entire life also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with the 2112 Sultan Circle in Chuliote, Florida?
Yes, sir.
And tell the jury how you're familiar with that particular house.
My parents built the house in like 89, 90, right around the time Grant was born. We started building the house. We all moved in right before Cody's 5th birthday in 1990. And I lived there until 2001 before I moved out to college.
So approximately how many years? You kind of just told us right now, but approximately how
10
many
to 11
did you
years
live-
that I lived there.
I'm sorry?
10 to 11 years that I lived there.
Now, I'm going to put up on the overhead a diagram. Let me show you what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 19. And first, before I do that, having lived in the house for those number of years, are you familiar with 2112 Sultan Circle?
Yes, sir.
And while you did live at that house, did you have your own room?
Yes, sir.
And did Cody have his own room?
Yes, sir.
Did Grant Amato have his own room?
Yes, sir.
First, let me show you what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 19. And this would be the ground floor, first floor. Judge, can we eliminate that red mark?
Mr. Amato, if you could, do you see that mouse right there?
Yes.
All right. If you could click on that arrow, see the arrow on the right, type of the screen? Click on that arrow, go down and press clear, all the way at the bottom. Thank you. And now click on that arrow again. All right, thank you.
Now, just can you just give us a little overview of the of that first floor? You've lived there. You know it better than anybody else.
Yep, that's a very accurate depiction of the inside of the house, or the first floor of the inside of the house.
Where's the front door to the house?
The front door is over here by where it says front porch.
Do you know how to use that pointer or?
The front door is right there.
Okay, and then once you enter the front door, tell us what we have.
Okay, so the front door, there's an opening right here that leads to what was originally built as a dining room, but it was turned into an office that my mom used to work from home. Right in front of the front door is the stairs that leads up to the upstairs. This is a little foyer that has a closet that goes under the stairs, an entrance to my parents' bedroom with a master bath. This also has doors that lead out onto the back porch. This is the living room. There's doors that lead onto the back porch. There's entrance into the kitchen from the living room and from the office. This was just an opening. This actually has a door between the two rooms, and that was usually always open. Needless to say, this is the kitchen, breakfast area. This is predominantly where we ate meals as families. The half bath, laundry room. This is actually, this used to be a game room when we were kids, where there were board games and toys that you played with. It was just an open room. We didn't have the workout stuff in there, or there wasn't any workout stuff. And then there's doors that lead onto the porch from this room, and then there's also an entrance into the garage between the house and the garage.
And although maybe somewhat apparent on the diagram, show us where the big garage doors are. In other words, the doors that lead out to outside.
Oh, okay. The doors that the cars would come in would be on this south side of the house. So this is the south side, east, north, and then west of the house.
Okay, thank you. Now, let me show you the second floor. This is part of State's Exhibit 19.
And if it's easier, you can use that mouse that has the little,
Oh, that would be awesome. Okay.
see the pencil?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you kind of do the same thing that you did with the first floor? Can you explain what the second floor shows?
Yes. So this is the stairs that lead up to the second floor from the downstairs. So technically, right below where it says closet would be the front door. So you go upstairs. There's a banister that leads right here, so you would have to walk around to go into this hallway area. It leads into Cody's room. That's been Cody's room ever since we moved in. He loved the bay windows. And then this was Grant's room, opposite of Cody's. They shared the bathroom in the hallway, which was right across from the stairs. And then this bedroom office was my dad's office once I moved out, but this was originally my room with a private bath.
Okay, and let me ask you this. You see right adjacent to Cody's bedroom and Grant Amato's bedroom, it says closet, closet. Can you explain that?
Yes, so in the hallway, there's two closets that you don't walk into. They're basically just shelving with a door. And then Cody and Grant both had walk-in closet. Well, we all three had walk-in closets.
Okay. And the closets for Cody's bedroom, was that in the bedroom itself, or was it just right outside the bedroom?
I'm sorry, well, okay, so this closet right here was entered through the bedroom, so a private closet, and then same for Grant, private closet. These two were only accessible from the hallway.
All right.
And then just to clarify, this is not a closet, this is a AC unit. So, I mean, there is a space there, but it's full of an AC unit. And it's only accessible through that bedroom office space.
Let me show you some photographs and tell me if you recognize this as being Cody's bedroom. And first, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit. Well, let me back up. Let me first show you an overview. Do you recognize this?
Yes, sir.
And what does, and I'm showing you State's Exhibit 101. What does 101 depict?
That is a picture of Cody's room.
Same question over here.
What exhibit number?
Well, I'm sorry, that's State's Exhibit 100. Is that Cody's room also?
I am not 100% sure based off of those items showing. I mean, it looks like it's a blue wall. I'm not,
Let me show you in conjunction with 101.
yes, that looks like the same room.
Okay.
Yes.
And let me show you State's 114. Do you recognize this as being Grant Amato's room?
Yes. Right, because of the window location.
Is Grant Amato, your brother, proficient with the computers?
Yes.
And explain to the jury how so and how you know that to be the case.
Well, both of my brothers, including my father, were both extremely proficient in computers. More so my brothers in the recent years, whenever I would come over to the house, I mean, I would see them in the progress of either building a computer or updating a computer. They knew how to build a computer from scratch.
And over the years, how would your father refer to his sons? And what I'm referring to is, I'm not talking about when he would be directly addressing them, having a face-to-face conversation with them or in their presence, but when he was talking, when he was referring to his son either in the third person or not in their presence, how would he refer to
like
his
referring
sons?
to them, like referencing them either by talking to somebody or writing it down?
Yes.
Typically, he would use initials, first, middle, and last. I'm JRA, he would be CRA, my mom was MAA. That would be typically how he would refer to members in the family if he was writing something down to identify us, or if he was talking to somebody. He would sometimes say our name, but very common for him to use initials.
Would he ever use the word son when he was not directly addressing one of his sons directly? In other words, you told us how he typically refers to them in the third person, either initials. Did he ever use the word son when he's not directly addressing one of his sons?
I don't think so. I mean, the only time I think I've ever heard him really say son is if he was saying he had 3 sons, or he would say, send me a text, hey son. But other than that, I think that's the only time I can recollect him referring to us as sons.
Now, your father, Chad, was he right-handed or left-handed?
He was right-handed.
And tell the jury why you say that. Explain to the jury that.
We were all right-handed. We were big football fans, so we always threw the football right-handed. We were big into baseball. We all batted right-handed, including my father. He wrote right-handed. He was dominant with his right hand when we worked out in the yard. If he went to grab something or steady something, he grabbed it with his right hand. I think that's about it. I've seen my dad hold a gun once or twice in his life, and I believe it was with his right hand.
Now, with regard to entering or leaving 2112 Sultan Circle, tell the jury, how is it typical for the family to enter or leave that house over the years that you lived there?
Well, for most of the years, none of me and my brothers drove, so my parents always just pulled in and out of the garage. That was our main point of entry and exit. We never used the front door. We didn't have a lot of people come over, but if people did come over, they would usually meet us at the garage, and we would let them in through that game room or the gym on the diagram, and then, come into the kitchen and whatnot. Even after I moved out, I still usually met my family at the garage to let me in. I didn't have a opener or anything like that, or a keypad entry, so I usually just called somebody and they would let me in through the garage.
Now, during the years, and I know I'm kind of jumping around from topic to topic, but during the years that you lived in Chuliota, I don't want to use the word common, but was it not uncommon to hear gunshots?
Oh, yes.
What's the answer to that question?
Out in the country, it's very common to hear gunshots. I actually used to work in landscaping, so I would be outside. The company I worked for was based out of Chuliota, so a lot of our work was in Chuliota, and I'd say daily. And sometimes you would not hear a gunshot one day, but you could hear 3 or 4 the next day, and it wasn't scheduled. It could be completely random, morning, middle of the day, evening, middle of the night. You could possibly hear it at any time.
Now, Mr. Amato, after this event, excuse me to put it in these terms, but after your father, mother, and brother were murdered, how long did the police maintain possession of that house, 2112 Sultan Circle, to process it?
So it was about a week. I received access to the home on the Thursday after. Not sure what that date is. The 25th, 26th.
About a week.
Yeah, about a week later. I think it was the end of January, 30th, 31st, somewhere around whatever that Thursday date is.
And when the house was eventually released, was it released back to you as being a surviving member of the family?
Yes, sir.
And when it was released, did you have an opportunity to go inside the house and conduct basically an accounting or inventory?
Yes, I was advised to.
I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask you some questions about the various items, things, equipment that was located in the house. So first, let me start out by asking, were there TVs in the house?
Yes.
And tell us about that. Can you tell us how many, about, or exactly if you can, but about?
I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 TVs.
What about gaming systems? Were there gaming systems inside?
Yes,
And
there
tell
were
the jury about that.
several PlayStations, newer or older and newer models. I'd say maybe 4 or 5 PlayStations.
And how about virtual reality systems?
Yes, I was advised by one of the friends of my brother's that the virtual reality system that my brother or brothers, I'm not sure, but they had recently purchased a fairly expensive virtual reality system.
And was that located inside the residence?
Based off of what I can tell, everything was there. I mean, you know, whatever the poles and the thing that you put on your head, all those items were still there, yes.
And how about sound systems?
Yep. Most all the rooms had a sound system in them.
And as evident from the photos, but let me ask you directly, what about computers?
Yes, there were five computers or so.
And were these fairly expensive, valuable computers?
Well, I know that there were, my brothers had built their own gaming computers for their rooms and the living room. And again, I'm not very proficient in it, but I've been advised they were worth a pretty good value compared to your normal computer.
How about safes?
Yes, sir. There were 3 safes in my parents' bedroom area.
And can you tell us a little more about the safes?
Okay, so there were 2 safes in my dad's closet. One of them was a larger, like, gun safe, I believe, with some guns in them. I think they were just rifles or shotguns or long guns. And maybe like a box of bullets or something like that. That was very minimal in there, but there was a wall safe about the size of a piece of paper that went in a couple inches, and that had like important documents and memorabilia type stuff in there. These were all open when I was given access to the home. And then there was a third safe, a little bit smaller box safe in my parents' bedroom, and there was nothing in there when I was given access to the home.
And what about items of jewelry when you looked through the house and did your inventory?
Yeah, so me and my family were not very flashy people, so there wasn't a lot of jewelry, but I mean, my mom's wedding ring was still on her, and then there was some jewelry of hers in her bathroom that was still there.
Did your mother typically wear her wedding ring?
Yes, sir.
Now, let me ask you, how do you know that your mother's wedding ring was still on her?
Because the investigators told me and provided it to me.
Do you have it? You have possession of your mother's wedding ring?
Yes, sir.
What kind of ring is your mother's wedding ring?
It's a diamond ring with a gold band. I don't know, carats. It's, medium size, I guess. It's, my mom's had it ever since they got married and engaged.
Other, and you may have mentioned this, and I apologize, other items of the jewelry that you observed?
Yeah, again, it's not flashy. Bracelets, earrings, necklaces, maybe some with a stone or something, but again, nothing flashy.
Okay. After the house was released to you, and as you did your accounting or your inventory, did you come across a document in your father's belongings that appeared to be some type of rules or contract
Yes, sir.
regarding Grant Amato?
Yes, sir.
And first, tell the jury, where did you discover it? And let me put the diagram back up. First, tell us where did you discover it?
It was, the contract was upstairs in my dad's bedroom, or not bedroom, office, that bedroom office space. just a piece of paper. It was actually a notebook piece of paper with the holes in it, and it was kind of stuffed in a legal pad to where you couldn't see it unless you fanned through the legal pad.
And I'm putting back up the second floor diagram. That's part of State's Exhibit 19. And can you show us where did you discover this document?
Yes, so with the pointer, the office bedroom space. So on this south wall is my dad had a computer desk and another little desk with a printer. He had a whole bunch of papers and stuff on there, so that's where I found the legal pad.
May I approach the picture, please?
You may.
Now, what I'm going to do is, and I'm showing you what State's Exhibit P, actually, let me show you that. It's a State's Exhibit P for identification. Let me show you the contents of State's Exhibit P for identification. And ask you if you recognize that.
Yes, sir.
Is that the original document, the original rules or contract that you discovered in your father's office upstairs?
Yes, this is the piece of paper that I found upstairs.
Same condition as it was in when you discovered it?
Yes, sir.
I'd offer this into evidence as a State's exhibit, Your Honor.
Any objection?
Subject to the court's or our prior motion, Judge.
All right. Well, the objection would be overruled. As to 6P, that's what's been pre-marked for identification as 6P will be moved into evidence as State's Exhibit 179 in evidence.
Let me show you the document, and I'm showing you State's Exhibit 179 now. Let me show you the document. It's quite detailed, so I'm not going to ask you to read it word for word, but describe to the jury what that document is, State's Exhibit 179. What are the contents of it?
I guess I would call it like an ultimatum. Some options that were given to Grant to choose between after leaving the facility. And based off of some of his choices, there were specific rules and regulations that my father had laid out for him. And
Give some example. I mean, I'm not asking to read the entire document. The jury has it. It's going to go back with them, and they can read it. But give the jury some examples of what are the options given to them.
all right, so the first thing that was covered was living arrangements. You know, does he want to live at home, move out on his own, go to the military? It looks like my father pre-wrote this and then updated it with a different color pen, I'm assuming with discussion with Grant. So there are some markings and highlightations of things that were discussed and chosen. It looks like Grant chose to live at home. He understood that the family would not cover or pay any current remaining future debts, etc. It goes on to say that, you know, some rules are no post-midnight internet use, no more all-nighters online, limited TV, install a new AT&T modem for logging, wireless, and hard traffic use. It says that he terminated his current phone and set him up with a new phone that I guess didn't have data or the ability to go on the internet. Some responsibilities where he had to get a job, He had some debts that he had to take care of, no savings. He owed the family some money, owed the family an apology. It's very detailed.
Is there any reference in there about contact with the woman in Bulgaria?
Yes, sir. So
What does that say?
it states that it informed Grant that they had reached out to this woman to let them know, or to let her know some of the things that Grant had been saying weren't 100% true, and that he wasn't allowed to communicate with her anymore based off of those lies.
Now, once again, let me change topics. Let me address your attention to January 26th of this year, 2019.
Yes, sir.
Towards the latter part of the day, late afternoon, very early evening,
Yes, sir.
did you have an occasion to go to the Seminole County Sheriff's Office and actually see your brother, Grant Amato?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury about that. First of all, how did you, what were the circumstances that brought you over to the sheriff's office? How did you wind up at the sheriff's office?
Well, obviously, I was aware earlier in the day that they had located my brother, and he was voluntarily answering some questions. And then later in the day, they came and told me that he had requested me to come and see him.
And you went to the sheriff's office?
Correct. So I just drove up to the sheriff's office and told him that it was on the weekend, so there was no receptionist. So I just met Dan Anderson downstairs, and he took me up to see my brother.
And did you actually go into the interview and have a conversation with him?
Yes, sir.
Now, during the course of the conversation, first of all, your brother initially denied any type of responsibility for hurting your family. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
During the course of the conversation, were there times where you indirectly and then at one point directly accuse him of killing your family?
Yes, I did go into meeting my brother, just trying to find out what happened to my family, and he was the last one that I knew was there. So I'm sure some of my questions or statements were accusatory.
And when you would, and it's on video, the jury's already seen it, when you would directly or indirectly accuse him of your family's death, what was his response?
I just remember him mostly being silent and just saying he understood how I felt. If you're asking if he denied any of my accusations, I only remember him saying he didn't have anything to do with it when I first walked in.
Now, let me take you back 2 days earlier from that, referring to January 24th,
Okay.
and specifically the evening of January 24th. Do you remember what you did that evening?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury, what did you do that evening?
It was just a regular Thursday for me. I left work around 5:30, maybe 5:15, drove home, got home around 6 o'clock, I think, said hi to the family, hung out for a second. We decided we wanted to go out for dinner, and
And you mentioned your family. Tell the jury about your family.
she's my longtime girlfriend. We've been together for almost 11 years, so, and then she has 2 children previous to me, but, I've been in their life for 10 years, so that's my family.
And what's her name?
Christina Varnell.
You live together with her?
Yes.
And how long have you been living with her?
Living with her, probably 10 years. We dated for about a year before we started living together.
And she has 2 daughters?
Correct.
How old are her daughters?
12 and 16.
And go on, tell us. You get home, and they're home, and then what do you do?
So I see the family. We decide to go out to dinner. I think we leave around 7-ish. We go to BJ's in Oviedo, and
What is BJ's?
it's a restaurant in the Oviedo area.
And how, approximately, give us some sense, how far is BJ's from your house?
15 minutes.
And all 4 of you go, Christina and her 2 daughters?
Correct. We all leave together, sit down together, and eat together.
Approximately let me ask you, approximately, what time did you arrive at BJ's?
Probably about between 7:15 and 7:30.
And you have dinner there?
Yes.
And approximately, once again, how long were you at BJ's?
So I think we only had to wait 10 or 15 minutes for our table, and then, so we'll say 7:30 to maybe 9 o'clock, 9:30, I think is when we left, 9 to 9:30.
And when you left, did all 4 of you leave together?
Yes.
And then where did you go?
We just went straight home. It was obviously a school night, so kids had to go to bed so they could go to school, and I had to go to work, so it was school night, so I had to go home.
And then when you got home, what did everyone do?
Well, my daughter, our oldest daughter is in the IB program, and she's got tons of homework, so I think we did a little bit of homework for a couple hours. Our youngest daughter maybe laid around, went to bed, and then Christina probably went to bed shortly after getting home as well.
Okay. And then the morning of the 25th, did you get up and go to work?
Yep, normal day, I took Krista to school, and I think I just went straight to work from dropping her off at the high school.
Now, on that day, on that Friday, January 25th, did the police come to you?
Yes.
And tell the jury about that, about what time that morning did they arrive?
They arrived around 12:30, but I was initially communicated or contacted around 9:30 in the morning. I got a phone call from a person that I thought was part of the hospital that I later learned was a police officer. Needless to say, they're the ones that initiated that Cody didn't show up for work.
Now, let me ask you, were you at work? You mentioned that you worked in Maitland?
Yes, sir.
You were in Maitland when the police came over to your workplace?
Yes, they met. Yes, sir. They came to my work.
And how long, well, kind of tell us what happened then. The police made contact with you sometime afternoon.
It was pretty scary. So they, came into the building, and the whole building got shut down, and there were police officers everywhere. They took me into a room and, questioned me, and later gave me very general details that there was a woman and 2 males in their 30s found in the house. So I just tried to answer. No, I'm good. So I just tried to answer their questions as best as possible. And they questioned me for, I was with them all day, but they initially questioned me for a couple hours, and then they went and searched my car in the parking lot for a couple hours, and then they went and searched my house for a couple hours. So, during that whole time, I was with the investigators all day, and they were constantly asking me questions, just tendencies about my parents and brothers and stuff.
And when you say search your house, you're not referring to 2112 Sultan Circle?
No, my house in Winter Springs.
And during your contact with the police, did they inform you that there was no forced entry into 2112 Sultan Circle?
Yes, it was sometime that day, I think later in the day, that they informed me that there was no forced entry or no broken windows or doors. They asked me if anybody else had a house key, how often other people came over to the house, that kind of thing. I think that's about it.
Did you have a key?
No. I didn't have a house key.
You know, I mean, you visited the house, of course, but you no longer resided in that house.
Correct, and my mom was always home, so if I ever needed to go over to the house, I mean, she was always home, so I could easily just call the house. I usually call my mom in the house phone because she was always home. So I would just call her and tell her. She sat right there in the front of the house so she could see most people drive down the driveway. So she knew when people got there.
And let me ask you this, from the fact that you were informed that there was no forced entry, broken windows, doors, or that type of thing, did you naturally infer that it was not a burglary?
Well, and then they had also asked me what kind of valuables would be in the house, and obviously I didn't live there, so I just stated probably TVs. I know my brothers had nice computers and video game systems. I said that they had weapons in the house, computers. I didn't really say jewelry because I knew there wasn't a lot of jewelry in the house.
But from that, let me ask you, from the fact that they informed you that there was no signs of forced entry, at that point, did you come to the logical conclusion that there was no burglary?
Correct. I assume there was nothing stolen from the house.
Let me change subjects again and kind of move you back about another month. And I want to direct your attention to December 23rd of 2018, approximately 3 in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Did you have an occasion to go to your Aunt Donna's house?
Yes, sir.
And first of all, where does your Aunt Donna live? And once again, city, town, however you feel comfortable.
She lives in Apopka, Florida.
Okay. And what were the circumstances? Why did you go to your Aunt Donna's house at 3 o'clock in the morning on December 23rd, 2018?
Okay, so a couple days before that, Grant had went to my aunt's house to get away from the house, predominantly, I think, my father. We all knew he was there. We knew he needed help. We had done a couple, I hate to call them stakeouts, but we took turns with another family member. Cody and my dad would sit outside the house at my aunt's house. We just wanted to make sure that Grant wouldn't walk away and go somewhere where we didn't know where he was. So me and my mom did 12 hours. Me and my brother and my dad did 12 hours. We did that, like 2 shifts of it each. And then on the last shift, my mom had found a facility that was willing to talk to Grant. So we decided to do it at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It was pretty much led by Cody. We communicated that we were going to meet outside my aunt's house around 3 o'clock in the morning, and my dad, has some idiosyncrasies and doesn't like to drive his car far distances, so he rented a car. I drove myself. He had brought my mom and Cody. We all met at my aunt's house. Cody called my aunt. Grant came out. We really Cody was talking to Grant about that he needed help with his obsession or his relationship with that woman. And initially the conversation didn't go well. My brother and Cody and my dad started getting on Grant. I stepped in and told him he just needed to get help and focus on himself. My brother Cody and my dad calmed down. Grant got in the car. The three drove him to Fort Lauderdale, where he checked himself in that morning when they got there. And that was the last time that I saw Cody and my dad.
So, Grant, your brother Amato, got into the car,
Yes.
your father driving?
Yes, sir.
And Cody, where was Cody in the car?
Cody got next to Grant in the back seat. Grant sat behind my dad and Cody sat behind my mom. I did not go down to Fort Lauderdale with them.
Your mother also went down to Fort Lauderdale?
Yes, sir.
And from there, where did you go, back home?
Yes, sir.
So Cody was supportive of the idea of having Grant check himself into this facility for treatment,
Yes, sir.
as was your father?
Yes, we all wanted him to get help.
And let me ask you this, and then this is, I think, my last or next to last question. You touched upon this just a moment ago, but I'd like you to kind of elaborate or get into it a little bit more. The discussion out in front of your Aunt Donna's house between, on the one hand, Cody and your father, and on the other hand, Grant. The discussion between your father, Cody, and Grant. Describe that. I mean, how heated did it get?
Oh, it wasn't yelling. Really, I think what set it off was Cody was upset that Grant, I guess, wasn't being forthcoming. I guess he gave him a look. That's what Cody kept saying. Don't give me that look, or why are you giving me that look? And then my dad did put his hand on Grant's shoulder, not like punch him or hit him. He put his hand on his shoulder, and that's when I stepped in and told them to leave him alone, and I told Grant just to focus on himself. I think I gave him a hug. He really didn't say anything. I stepped back out since I wasn't really the one involved with the facility and taking him there. And I would say shortly after that, a couple minutes, he just walked to the car himself.
I have no further questions.
Ross?
Good morning, Jason.
Morning, Mr. Gotti.
We've met before, right?
Yes, sir.
Several times. And Jason, I apologize. I'm so sorry for your loss, but I think you know now I have to ask you some questions, okay?
I do.
Okay, thank you, sir. And again, I'm sorry for your loss. Jason, you moved out of the house pretty early, right?
Because-
When you moved out of the house, the Sultan Circle house, you were around 18, 19 years old?
Yes, sir.
You went to college from there?
19, yes, sir.
University of Florida?
Yes, sir.
In the beginning, when you were a young child, what's been diagrammed here is the gym. You were indicating that was the playroom?
We call it a game room, but you can call it a playroom.
when you were tiny.
Sounds like a girly thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we'll call it a game room.
Okay, the game room. The game
But I can pull out the original plans. My dad had it marked as a game room.
Okay, and your father was very meticulous when he built that home, wasn't he?
My father is meticulous bikes and everything.
Everything. In fact, I think you told me a story once that he actually flew over the property on a helicopter and picked it out,
Correct.
and that's going to be the Amato home.
Yes, sir.
Your father, he was a good man. He was a stern man, though, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, there's a few years difference between you and Cody and Grant.
Yes, sir.
You're the older brother.
Yeah, I am, I think, 5 years older than Cody, or 4.5 years older than Cody, and about 6 years older than Grant.
But the three of you were pretty tight when you were younger.
Yeah, we lived out in the country, so didn't have a lot of neighbors. Again, my father didn't allow a lot of friends over, so it was just me and my brothers. We played outside a lot.
Okay. Then, when you moved out, Grant and Cody remained living at the home.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it was when Grant and Cody got a little bit older, teenagers, and after, onto their lives, they became extremely tight, right?
Yes, they had a lot of common interest and things that they enjoyed doing.
And one of those common interests was gaming and computers.
Big time.
As we saw, there was some serious computer and gaming equipment, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. How did that come to be? Do you know?
Honestly, I don't know. We were not big computer video gamers when I lived there. Honestly, I don't know what pushed them in the direction of video games.
Okay. But let me back up. I kind of overlooked something. When you were younger, you said that you used to play baseball and catch and
Yep.
batting with your dad.
Yes, sir.
Was Cody and Grant part of that group too?
Oh, yeah. Yep. They all played baseball. We all went to Florida football games together, every home game. Yeah, we played sports all the time.
You would play catch with your dad?
Yeah, we played catch with everybody.
Oh, Grant would be there too playing?
Yeah,
catch?
one of the family photos, because I was asked to provide some family photos, is Grant's got a football in his hand. We were known as a football family.
Great. And obviously then you would, by just playing catch, as you can see, I'm left-handed, but you knew your dad was right-handed.
100%.
Okay. And is it fair to assume that Grant probably knew too, that he was right-handed? Your dad?
Yes, we're all right-handed.
Okay. Was your mom right-handed too? Or
Yes.
not? Right, okay. Since you moved out and over the years, how often would you go over to the house?
Predominantly it was for holidays or birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, that kind of thing. So maybe a handful of times of the year. But, sometimes I'd still get a piece of mail at the house, so I'd go over and say hi to my mom and see my brothers. And, we'll just say, half dozen to a dozen times a year.
Okay. It was a normal family gathering, right?
Yes.
Normal family functioning?
Yes.
And you would contact your mom via telephone quite often, wouldn't you?
Correct. And there were times when Mom was at the barn and my brothers were home, and they would answer and say, Mom's at the barn, or, come on by if you want to come to the house. So, yes, it was very welcoming when I came home.
Okay. And Jason, let me ask you, you were asked about these initials that your dad would use. Would it be like JRA?
Yeah, actually on that contract that they just showed me,
It has the initials?
it has, I know I saw my father and my mom's initials, and that's just an example of my father referencing an individual by initials.
Okay. Did you ever hear Cody call your dad Pops?
I think, no, not to his face. It would have been in a,
Like a text or something?
no, it would have been to like me and Cody, or me and Grant, or maybe his friends, he'd be like my pops.
Yeah. I was
Or,
saying,
Pops,
My Pops is working today.
But I don't think he ever called my dad Pops.
Okay, you probably call him Dad? Well,
Yes, I think we all called our father Dad.
Okay, yes, sir. I don't want to put words in your mouth. You talked about the garage. The garage seemed like that was the main entrance to go in and out.
Yes, even though the front door was a main point that everybody walked by, since it was right by the stairs, I'll be honest, I mean, that door maybe opened a dozen times the entire time I lived there.
In fact, it doesn't even, the house, it doesn't even have a sidewalk.
No, that was an initial plan that my father had, was to put in a sidewalk, and then it just became so custom for us to always go through the garage and have people meet us down there. We just always met at the garage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Now, I want to go back to the gaming systems. As they got older, did you ever play with those intense gaming systems? That was just
No.
between Cody and...
I mean, I got Candy Crush on my phone, but I don't do like the PlayStation or what's the other one, Xbox.
Right.
I don't do the PC games. I got a family and kids, or I mean, and a job, you know, I mean, I don't have time for it, so.
You're a family man, right?
Yes,
Okay. And Orange Crush is a long way away from what we saw up there with their gaming systems.
what is, I'm sorry?
The Orange Crush is
Or-
a long way
Oh,
away.
yeah, Candy
from-
Crush, yes, sir, yes,
I'm sorry, Candy Crush.
yes.
Did they share their gaming systems? Do you know? I mean, did they interact? You said they built them from scratch.
Yes.
Was it like, all right, this computer
Well,
downstairs?
not the video game. I don't think they built a PlayStation, but I
Right.
know the two big computers and the big computer downstairs, the two computers up in my brother's rooms, those were made, you know, they bought a motherboard and a graphic card and all those other little pieces that you put a computer together.
All right, did your dad play too, or no?
Play?
What with them, with their,
No, my dad wasn't a gamer, but my dad was a self-taught computer guru. He was very smart when it came to computers.
we've seen, the jury's seen pictures, a lot of pictures of there's a lot of electronics in the home. Cell
Right, yes,
phones,
sir.
laptops, obviously the gaming systems and things like that.
Yes, sir.
Now, you talked about the contract. Okay, you found the contract after you were given access?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And just to give the jury, you said you found it in a legal pad, like, not like it was hidden, but it would be something like, put it there like this, and the contract would be down there, like that? Or-
Correct, but remember, my father is a little crazy about things like that, so it would have been stuck in there perfectly.
Oh,
So
I'm
you
sorry.
would not have been able to see it
Oh, okay.
without, because originally it was just a blank legal pad. He had several blank legal pads, and I don't know why, I decided to flip through them, and that one legal pad had the piece of paper in it.
Well, reading that so-called contract, that wasn't very surprising to you, because you were aware of the family issues that were going on at that time.
Yes, yes.
You were aware that Grant was involved with this internet lady, and he had been spending some of the family money. and
I
things like
wasn't 100% sure of the amount or the detail that my father went into regarding the rules for Grant. But after seeing it, it looks like my father.
that. Yeah, because your father was a disciplinarian, as you said, very meticulous and things like that.
Yes, sir.
But throughout all these issues that are going on in these couple of months, or maybe a little bit longer, the family was pulling together, weren't they, trying to get Grant through this?
Yes, sir.
And obviously, I mean, you all confronted him on the 23rd, concerned for his welfare, and took him to Cornerstone.
Correct.
Now, you mentioned that it was somewhat confrontational between Cody and your dad, and Cody said, you know, don't look, Grant, don't give me that look. And Grant was pretty much submissive when this was going on.
Yes, sir.
Is Grant known to be rather submissive when he's being accused of things, or is it the confrontational things more of a Cody and dad thing?
Yes. I would say me and Grant are fairly submissive compared to Cody.
And actually, that it got, I mean, it didn't get physical or anything, but your dad did put his hand on Grant's shoulder, but you sort of stepped in and tried to calm it down.
Right, and I don't think it was going to get to a point where there would be fists thrown or, you know, someone getting pushed. I just didn't want Grant to feel like he was being dominated or controlled, you know? He is still a person that needs to make his own decision about his well-being.
And that's your big brother, and you love your big brother, just like you said in the video.
He's my big brother?
You love Grant, I mean, you're the big brother, you love your little brother.
I love both of my brothers.
I understand. Again, Jason, I'm sorry. Part of that contract said that he had a choice to go into the military?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this is where my father can be a little overbearing is, in his contract, he lists the reasons why Grant shouldn't go to the military, It's just like living with my dad. He's underweight. I think there was another reason making Grant probably feel less of a person, which I don't agree with, but yes, it was listed on there with reasons why my father felt he shouldn't do it, and then next to it, in another color pen, it was marked that Grant denied going to the military.
But that's right. Sort of like what I do, right? You have blue highlights and yellow highlights and
Correct.
things like that.
Yes, sir.
Would you agree it's kind of unusual for a dad to tell his son that you're going into the military when the son's 29 years old? Or is that just the nature of the family?
Oh, no, my
dynamic?
father wasn't telling him, he was giving him the option.
Oh, yes, sir.
And then explaining from his point of view, the pros and cons to the different options he had for Grant.
Okay. And Jason, you were in contact and you were talking with your mom on the telephone while this was going on, the time period. How's Grant doing?
Yes, sir.
Checking on his well-being.
I talked to her 3 or 4 times after Grant had gotten out of the facility.
And that was in January,
Yes, sir.
early January. And I don't want to ask you what your mom said, but was it your feelings that the family was coming together and you were going to get through this?
Yes, she did sound better than she had in the previous months. She said that Grant was being more part of the family and had a job interview and was excited that things looked like they were turning around. So, I was excited too, but still called, once a week or so to check in on the family.
And that was great news for you to hear, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that job interview that you referred to, that would be the job interview at the Express Scripts, I think on 125?
I believe so. Well, she told me he had a job interview the Friday after we had last talked, which was on January 16th. And then, so that would have been the Friday before the incident. And then I guess he had another job interview on that January 25th, the Friday after the incident.
Yes, sir. And Jason, once again, I'm very sorry I have to ask you these
It's okay,
questions.
I understand.
Okay, I don't have any further questions this time. Thank you, sir.
Redirect?
Yes. When Mr. Downey was asking you questions, you referred to your mother being at the barn.
Yes.
Explain to the jury what you meant by that.
My mom loved horses, and she had a barn, she had a horse at a barn down a dirt road behind the house. She met a lot of good friends there, and she spent a lot of time there with her horse and friends.
Members of the jury, do you have any questions of this witness? Please write them down. There are some questions that the jurors have that I'm going to ask of you, Mr. Amato. And again, this point, these are the questions that are permitted. Was your father abusive physically or otherwise towards any family members?
No, we got spanked, but I don't consider that abuse.
If Grant got rid of his guns, do you have personal knowledge and do you know why he still had gun cases?
Wait a minute, say that one more time, I'm sorry.
If Grant got rid of his guns, and I'm asking as to your personal knowledge, if you know, do you know why he still had gun cases?
No, I have no idea.
Why did Grant not finish the program at Cornerstone?
From what I was told is that my mom said that the person that oversaw the facility said that there was nothing else they could do for Grant. He was basically saying that he was getting better and didn't feel the urge, and he was saying all the right things, and they didn't feel that he needed to be there anymore. That's what I was told.
When were you informed that your brother Grant was a suspect?
When was I informed?
Yes.
I guess when I got the call in the middle of the night that they were going to arrest him. But before that, I mean, he was just a person of interest. They released him, so I didn't have any feelings like that until I was told he was being arrested.
On January 26, did you find Grant's demeanor of quote-unquote listening silently, as you previously stated, to be typical of him? Is he normally more talkative or argumentative?
No, I would say that would be typical.
Why did the family do the stakeout, quote-unquote? What was the concern regarding Grant specifically?
We just wanted to make sure that, because originally we didn't know where he had gone. I guess you could say he ran away. He just left without telling people where he was going. And he ended up going to our aunt's house. I think it actually took 24 to 36 hours before we all became aware that it was at my aunt's house. And since he knew that we knew he was there, we just didn't want him to feel like he needed to run away or get away again. So that's why we staked out to make sure he didn't leave my aunt's house.
During the December 23rd discussion, what was Grant like? Was he quiet or argumentative?
Nope, quiet.
The last time you saw Chad and Cody was December 23rd. How come you didn't see them for the holidays?
I don't remember why Cody wasn't there, but I know my dad was working, and then I saw my mom that day. Or no, yeah, I saw my mom that day. What was the question?
Last time you saw Chad and Cody was December 23rd.
Why didn't I
How
see them for
come
the
you
holiday?
didn't see them for the holidays?
Right. So I know my dad was working. I'm not sure what Cody was doing. And then I obviously saw my mom because she came out to my aunt's house for the holiday.
Have you seen Grant's interview?
Grant's interview with me?
Have you seen Grant's interview?
I've only seen the interview or the meeting that me and Grant had.
And that is the last question, or permitted question. Is there any more questions from the state at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Any more questions from the defense?
Yes. Jason, you were asking whether or not your dad was abusive towards the family. When you were younger, did your mom and dad used to argue some?
Yes.
There was a time they separated, wasn't there?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Any redirect?
Ever see any physical abuse?
Sir.
Members of the jury, any more questions? No questions? At this time, may the witness be excused and released.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. You're excused and you're released from your subpoena. All right? You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning again, Mr. Roberts.
More.
Sorry for dragging you back in here. I just had 3 more questions I needed to ask you. Regarding the access of the wireless devices at that particular Publix you were talking about at Coral Lakes Plaza, did you also review if any Apple devices had accessed the wireless network at that location between midnight and, let's say, 3 a.m. on January 25th?
Yeah, we provided several logs. So after reviewing, we looked specifically for Apple devices that it connected that day and time. And based on those logs, we didn't see any any Apple devices at all actually connected during that time period.
Between 12 and midnight and 3 a.m. on the 25th, whether it's an iPad or an iPhone, there were no Apple devices that logged into that particular Publix
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
we saw no record of any events from any Apple devices.
That's correct. Thank you. No further questions.
Just one, Judge. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
The device with a MAC address ending in 1380, the light surface,
Yes, sir.
that had logged on at 2:53 a.m. on January 25th, 2019. Is that correct?
Correct, based on, on the
Based
log,
on the-
correct.
Right, based on the information that was placed
Correct.
into evidence.
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Members of the jury, do you have any questions of this witness? All right, write it down. Mr. Roberts, one of our jurors has a question. Does the public network log any sites or IP addresses that were visited by said MAC addresses?
So you're talking about content, where they're actually going as far as IP addresses and content. Currently, we do not have that record. There is the ability to do it, but with our current infrastructure and our current logging methods, we do not log the specific sites that they go to.
Any redirect? No. Any more information?
No questions, Judge.
All right, may this witness then be excused and released?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much, sir, you're excused and you're released.
First, tell us your name, please.
Christina Varnell.
And would you please spell your first and last name?
Yes, Christina, Christina. Last name is Varnell, Varnell.
And tell us, where do you live?
In Winter Springs.
And what do you do for an occupation?
I'm a substitute teacher.
I'm sorry?
A substitute teacher.
And
Now,
actually, you see the box right in front of you, not the microphone to the
This
left, do
one?
you see that? That's actually the microphone for the courtroom, all right? So if you want to lean more forward,
Okay.
that way your voice gets picked up.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I do not like public speaking.
It's all right.
Try not to be nervous.
Okay.
First, let me ask you this question. Do you know a person by the name of Jason Amato?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. How do you know Jason Amato?
He's my significant other for almost 11 years.
Okay. You live together?
Yes.
And do you have any children?
Yes. 2.
Daughters?
Yes.
How old are they?
12 and 16.
Okay, and do you and Jason, your 2 daughters, live as a family unit?
Yes.
And did you know during their lifetimes, Margaret Amato, Chad Amato, and Cody Amato?
Yes.
Tell the jury, please, how did you know them and how long had you known them?
They are Jason's mom, dad, and brother, and I've known them, or I knew them for about 10 years, around 10 years.
Close to them?
Yes, particularly Margaret.
Okay, and how would you refer to, how would you refer to Margaret and Chad?
I would call them my in-laws. We're not legally married, but we would call, she called my children her grandchildren.
Refer to Chad as dad?
Yes,
And how about Margaret?
Mom.
I want to direct your attention to January 24th, 2019, and ask you, do you recall particularly the events of that evening? And generally, I'm going to get into more specifics, but that evening, what did you do?
We went out to dinner. Nothing big or fancy. It was
Can you
a
speak-
regular Thursday night. We went out to dinner.
Okay, and where do you recall, where did you go to dinner?
BJ's in Oviedo.
And what type of restaurant is BJ's?
I guess it would call it's American type food, kind of sports bar, I guess. It's a brewery actually, so it is probably a sports bar.
And you told us you live in Winter Springs?
Correct.
Give us some sense about how far is BJ's from where your house is?
15 minutes.
And, well, first, let me back up a little bit, a little bit earlier. Was Jason did he go to work that day?
Yes.
Did he get home that day?
Yes.
Approximately what time did Jason get home?
About 6 o'clock.
Okay. And then, was it a little bit later on that you all went out to BJ's?
Yes, I don't think we left. We usually visit when he gets home and stuff, so we didn't leave till probably about 7.
And when you say we now, we meaning?
Myself, the girls, and Jason.
Okay. And approximately how long do you think it took you to get to BJ's?
Probably about 15 minutes.
And approximately, once again, approximately what time did you arrive at BJ's?
Probably about 7:15, I guess.
And have dinner at BJ's?
Yes.
And once again, just to be sure, you, Jason, and the girls?
Yes.
Approximately how long were you at BJ's?
Probably about an hour and a half. Maybe 2 hours.
And then after, about when you were finished with dinner, when did you leave BJ's?
We left around 9 o'clock. It's a little late for us.
And once again, we, meaning?
Jason and the girls and myself.
And you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, sorry.
And from BJ's, when you left around 9 o'clock, where did you go?
We went home.
Directly home?
Yes.
And when you got home, tell us what you did.
Just drove back in the driveway, got out. The girls went and started doing their things. My oldest had a bunch of homework. I think Calista and I started to get ready for bed. And we went to bed. Jason and our oldest stayed up and did homework.
And the following morning, Jason get up and go to work?
Yeah, we get up together, did our normal morning routine. He took our oldest to school. I usually take our youngest to school.
May I approach that? Let me show the list marked as 14 for identification and ask you to look at it.
Yes.
You recognize it?
Yes.
And please tell the jury what is 14W for identification.
It's a copy of our receipt from the night we went to dinner.
Okay.
It's actually 2 receipts, the one that lists everything we ordered and then the one where we paid.
Okay. Have you seen this before?
Yes, has my name on it.
Okay. I'd offer this into evidence as a state's exhibit, Your Honor.
All right, what's been pre-marked for ID is State's Exhibit 14W will be moved into evidence as State's Exhibit 180 in evidence.
And you just told us that you've seen this before,
Yes.
so you're familiar with it?
Yes.
And there are various, 2 times that are noted on this receipt?
Correct.
Okay, and actually what I can do is, I'll put it on the overhead.
Okay.
Let me first zoom in. The top, although it's somewhat evident and apparent, what time is it on the top?
The first one is 7:26.
With the date of 1/24/19?
Correct.
And that's 7:26 PM
P-
time?
PM. Yes.
Is that about the time that kind of checked in?
Yes, I'd say that's probably about the time we sat down or maybe ordered, because I think we got there a little before then.
And then on the bottom, actually, You see on the top there, the date and the time?
Correct.
And just tell us what the date and time is, although once again, it's pretty apparent.
January 24th, 2019, and 2048,
Okay, and
about 8:48 p.m.
8:48, and what does that time indicate?
I think that's the time we scanned the card and paid.
I have nothing further.
Ross?
Judge, I don't have any questions for this witness.
All right. Members of the jury, do you have any questions for this witness? Write it down, please. All right. The receipt showed a gift card and what appeared as $14 in charges. If you could put it back up on the overhead, please. Is this correct for 4 people?
The gift, I had a gift card. That's what the $25 was for, I think, is because I had a $25 gift card. So the 14 is the balance. Is that what you're asking?
That was what the question stated.
Okay.
I just read the question.
Okay, sorry.
How would you describe the relationship between Jason and his father?
I would describe it as he was closer with his mother. I wouldn't say they were as close as he was with his mom, but he talked to his dad, and there was no, I don't know, animosity or I guess bad blood that I was aware of between them. In fact, they spoke. We were out to dinner before this happened, and Chad called Jason to ask his advice about something, and Jason stepped out to talk to him. So to my understanding, there was a father-son relationship. I was aware that he was his, not his biological father, but the only father he ever knew.
Any questions based upon that question?
First, let me just clarify, and probably my fault, I didn't show the entire receipt. The entire dinner, is that now depicted on the left side of the screen and the total price? Go ahead.
May I mention, maybe there's confusion because Jason and I shared the full rack of ribs. We do share meals often, like I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking maybe that's why there was confusion.
But the entire meal was $39.86?
Correct. I can see what each of our daughters ordered, our appetizer, all that's correct, yes. That's everything we ate that night.
Okay. And just to clarify, Jason did not speak to Chad the day that this crime occurred?
No, I'm sorry. I just meant another time we were out to dinner.
I have nothing more.
Any cross based on this question?
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ms. Varnell, you said that Jason and his father spoke just before you went out to dinner that night?
Not that night. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
that was a
I
mistake.
must have, yes. When they asked the question about their relationship, I didn't know how to really answer
I understand.
somebody's relationship with their parent, but I just meant I knew they spoke because I don't recall exactly when it was, but it was, I would say sometime in January for sure. It was after all this stuff happened in
Right.
the family. Chad called Jason while we were out to dinner, and they, like I said, it was just if my dad called me to ask my opinion about something, I'd step out to speak to him too. So I was just trying to show that, to me, that's all I could say about
Yes,
the
ma'am, I
contents of their
understand.
relationship.
Yes, ma'am, and I understand. It was just
I didn't.
Your
hear
understanding, it was just a normal conversation between
Cor-
dads?
yes,
so
yes.
Nothing unusual?
Well, I mean, I know what the conversation is about.
I'm not asking you
Okay.
what was said to you, okay? Again, I'm sorry for your loss, thank you.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any more questions from members of the jury? May this witness be excused and released.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You're excused and you're released from your seat.